Good morning, I'm Sharaad Kuttan and welcome to BFM's Morning Headlines. It's the 21st of April. Yesterday in Penang, state funeral for Karpal Singh, MP for Bukit Gelugo and a stalwart of the Democratic Action Party. Now, some 10 to 15,000 people thronged Dewan Sri Penang to see the man off after 3 decades of service to the nation there. There it is, front page of The Sun, as well as the Malay Mail. Beyond that, stories really quite negative, stories of woe, more accidents, this time a bus. Again a bus, and a bus carrying Singaporean tourists. One was killed and scores injured in that tragedy. Now, the question, of course, is whether we're going to get to the bottom of why so many buses crash and if it has to do with the drivers or whatnot. Now, there in the corner of Utusan is a picture of young people. Young people's head bowed. They have been arrested. Some 88 partying rather wildly with drugs and such. Now that's carried in many of the newspapers. Youth is also the feature of the front page of The Star. Now this gambling habit apparently starts in many places, sometimes and often in the home. So this story quotes a survey by Gamblers Rehab Center. Some 93% of 600 primary school kids were surveyed. They all gamble. That's a huge number. The question is, what kind of gambling is it and how serious is it? The study also shows that some 45% learn the habit from family members. Now, is this the habit of, gambling around Chinese New Year or such, or, the cockfights that happen sometimes in kampongs and such? All this contributes to the gambling habit later on in adult life. Now, also in Berita Harian, they have that. Pesta Lia Inap Desa, which means a wild festival, invades the rural area. This was a suburban bungalow in the island of Penang, or rather on the island of Penang, and but was also a homestay. If you look at some of the stories on the internet, they described the house as a homestay. So these kids got caught because they were making too much noise. Now, how would you pack 88 people into a house, have a wild party with music, drugs and alcohol and not be noticed by your neighbors? I don't know. Not the brightest of kids, perhaps carried away by their youthful exuberance for life. Yes, there it is. We all were young once, at least I was, and you have it there. Also, on this page, and I want to point out to you, Berita Harian on page 7 has very interesting 2 stories here. One is on national unity, looking at an attempt to kind of foster national unity among certain groups in society, sponsored by the government. And there you have ISMA, if you remember them, they've come out in the newspapers quite a bit, in the media, and this time they are attacking liberals as a threat to the religion. So there you have it, something to read. It's part of our kind of watch on the liberals and conservatives in this country. That's a constant theme, I guess, in our news coverage. Now, New Straits Times has more on drugs, drug testing there, and attempts. If you remember, last week we had a story about policemen involved in drug taking. Now, finally, the Sina Harian. Sina Harian has this story on abandoned housing projects. That's an old story. It keeps reoccurring. Houses that are pre-sold and then not completed. So, of course, very distressful for many. This story, front page of Harian Metro, actually makes it to many of the other newspapers. And this is a child who dies because he swallowed a screw. And the child, and there you have the parents of the child. Very unfortunate story, but the kind of stuff that makes the news in tabloids. Now, what is the word or phrase of the day? Well, it's berpesta, berpesta. And of course, I have a soft spot for young people. I do think they really do deserve to enjoy themselves, because once you become an adult and you have to pay the rent, it's really quite awful. So, party while you can, kids. Whoa. And that's all I have for you this morning on BFM's Morning Headlines. BFM 89.9.